1. Introduction to wine tasting. How wine is made. Before starting on how to taste wine, here are a few basic notes giving some background to the making of red and white wines, as this is integral to the taste. Below is a pocket version of how to make wine. You don't need to know all of this, but it will help. White wines. Pick relatively early to maintain freshness, acidity. Keep cool. Press. Settle. Into tank or barrel. Ferment over 10 days, usually in absence of oxygen. Malolactic conversion. Choice of maturation in oak, 3 to 18 plus months, or straight to bottle. Red wines. Pick at varying times depending on maturity, both actual and desired. Either ferment as whole bunches, Beaujolais, increasingly some Pinot Noir, or go through crusher /destemmer, which breaks fruit into tank or vat. Either macerate, water-soluble elements, or go straight to fermentation for anything between 3 days and 3 weeks plus. During longer fermentations, juice is continually pushed back over the cap to extract flavors as well as to keep it fresh. Post-fermentation, there is the possibility of further maceration, alcohol-soluble elements. Press. First pressings equals main wine, second or more pressings harder, so are called press wine. May or may not be added to final blends. Either then to tank awaiting bottling or into cask /barrel to age for anything between 3 and 30 months. Bottle. 2. The role of the winemaker. There are many choices available to the winemaker which can influence the final taste of the wine. White wines. How much to press. Lees contact. Inclusion / exclusion of oxygen during fermenting process. Choice of fermentation vessel. Temperature of fermentation. Malolactic conversion, or not. Maturation oak, and if so, how much new oak and for how long, tank, or not at all, if in barrel, battenage, stirring of the fines lees remaining in the barrel, or not. Bottling date. Red wines. Date of harvest. Pre-fermentation maceration, and at what temperature. Fermentation. Fermentation temperature. Press, how hard / how long. Post-fermentation maceration, and at what temperature. Malolactic conversion. To oak or not, how long for, how much new oak to use. Closures. Screw cap. Plastic cork, often black or yellow. Synthetic cork, looks like cork but isn't. Diam, another form of synthetic but with more guarantee of sterility. Glass stoppers. Cork. Pros and cons of cork. Pros: natural product, allows very gentle slow passage of air to aid maturity, tradition. Cons: hard to sterilize, ridges in the bark, slow to increase production, harbor bugs which cause corkiness, need replacing every 25 years to ensure integrity. Pros and cons of alternative closures. Pros: efficient, clean and easy to sterilize. Production can be turned on or off at will. Marketing / personalization. Screw caps can be made with porous liners of different degrees to allow passage of air. Cons: screw caps can be damaged in transit by knocking and lose integrity. Plastic corks hard to remove, not traditional in any way. Under screw cap, red wines can often be reduced, i.e. suffer from lack of oxygen, can still get off flavors in wines under alternative closures. 3. Serving wine. 1. Choosing the shape of the glass. This is very important. The right glass will maximize the aromas, how they move around in the glass, swilling. 2. Decanting. The aim is to achieve either more rapid oxidation or remove from lees, or both. If wine is young, decanting is always fine, even for some full-bodied whites. Once aged it gets more fragile, and when very old sometimes it is better to risk sediment than excessive oxidation. 3. Temperature of serving. Whites. Chardonnay /Semillon at 8 degrees Celsius, Sauvignon can be a bit colder but not much. If the wine is too cold, the aromas become muted, so not fridge cold, unless the wine tastes horrid. Reds. Chamber means room temperature but old-fashioned room temperature. This is what we now call cellar temperature, so between 12 and 15 degrees Celsius. Never put onto the back of the Aga or in front of the fire or the wine will go soupy. If too cold, tannins and acidity are emphasized, so it is best to let the wine warm up slowly in the glass or on the table. 4. Introduction to wine tasting and how to taste. Smell very important for first impressions. Is it fresh, stale, fruity, oaky, brambly, buttery etc.? Does it change when you swirl the glass around? Oxygenation. Taste should reinforce the nose, but not always the case. Looking for fruit, acid, sweetness, tannin, body, mouthfeel, alcohol, persistence of flavors on the palate. Do they change on oxygenation in the mouth? Do they change on the finish? Finish the final impression after you have spat the wine out. Is it long /short /fresh / bitter / fruity / oaky / tannic / acidic? A typical tasting note would record the following: appearance, color, depth of color, intensity, color at rim. Nose note all smells, even if unconventional or unpleasant, intensity of aromas. Palate note all flavors, ditto, intensity, how does it change? Acid, tannin, sugar. Length, how long does the taste linger? Does it change? How? Better or worse? 5. Wine and food matching. There are two sorts of food matching. One which shows the wine off, for example if an old, venerable wine. The basic rules for this are to keep it simple with good ingredients so as not to overshadow the wine. One which seeks to enhance both food and wine. To enhance both food and wine you need to establish what are the dominant flavors and how to tame them. For example, for smoked foods and chilies serve Sauvignon Blanc. Some foods are known to change flavors and kill the wine. Smoked salmon needs an assertive, almost herbaceous type of wine to avoid turning the wine metallic. Asparagus and artichoke, better not matched to wines at all, but at best can do well with oaked Chenin or Semillon, or wines with sweetness like Riesling. Typical wine matches. Fish. Most fish can be matched with either red or white wines, particularly from Burgundy, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and the Loire, Chenin Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc, Pinot Noir. Shellfish Muscadet, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc, chilled, Gomery. White meats. Both red and white wines, the sauce is more influential than the meat. Game. Red and white Burgundy, red and white Rhone, Claret, Piedmont Reds, Tuscan Reds. Red meats, beef, lamb, pork, again the sauce is very important, pretty well all red wines. Very few whites will complement red meat but will be acceptable for those who prefer white. Spiced food. Thai, Chinese, Vietnamese etc., wines with some sweetness in them. Riesling, Gewürztraminer, some ripe Chardonnays, Pinot Noir-based wines. Curry. Depending on how assertive the curry is, whites generally pair better than reds. Often the complex curry flavors will dominate the more delicate wine flavors. 6. How much are you spending on your wine? Basic assumptions or prices which cannot be avoided. Per bottle. Tax, £2.23, £2.68 Inc. VAT, for wines up to 15% ABV. VAT 20% on both duty and cost of wine. Margin between 25 and 40% gross margin. Shipping at 25p per bottle, less for supermarkets who ship in bulk and may bottle in the UK. The above gives the basic cost of £3.78 per bottle Inc. VAT but doesn't include a cost of wine, b. labor in the vineyard and cellar, c. cost of glass /label /capsule /marketing, d. any handling in the UK. See graphics over 4 figures. It is clear that the more you spend on a bottle of wine, the more of it is actually being spent on the wine rather than the peripherals, but UK duty remains the highest in the EU. France. Currently €3.40 per hectoliter still wine, €8.40 per HL sparkling, hectoliter equals 100 liters, or 133.33 bottles of wine, equals €0.026 duty per bottle of wine. 7.